So, imagine waiting in a line of idling cars, and this line is stretching a full kilometer down the road. And you finally get to the front, only to watch the local gas station sell out of its entire daily supply.
Wait, like right in front of them?
Yeah, literally in exactly 60 minutes, 3,000 liters, just gone. Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack these raw news reports coming out of Thailand regarding this severe nationwide diesel shortage.
Right, and we're examining just how rapidly a society's foundational infrastructure can bottleneck. Because local stations, they don't store weeks of reserve fuel.
They're on that just-in-time model, right?
Exactly. They rely on constant rolling deliveries. So a single missed tanker doesn't just delay things, it instantly drains the local supply. Like across the country right now, fuel depots are slashing their daily output.
Yeah, it's drastically dropping.
Down in Trang, for instance, depots have dropped from supplying 20,000 liters daily down to just 5,000.
Wow, that is a massive drop. And so to try and stretch that shrinking supply, local pumps in provinces like Phayao are strictly capping purchases. Trucks are limited to 1,000 baht and pickups to 500 baht.
Which really isn't much for a commercial vehicle, is it?
No, I mean, to put that in perspective, 1,000 baht barely puts enough diesel in a heavy commercial truck to complete a single standard delivery route.
Yeah, it creates this immediate crisis of adaptation.
Right. And I'm fascinated by the cultural workarounds people invent during that kind of immediate scarcity. Like in Chiafam, farmers are literally leaving empty gallon jugs in line to reserve their spots while they wait for the next delivery.
That is so resourceful, honestly.
It is. It completely reminds me of that old practice of leaving your shoes in line to hold your place at crowded public hospitals. It kind of feels like that exact same level of medical desperation has just shifted over to the gas pump.
Well, yeah, but an empty jug holding a spot in line doesn't actually get the fields plowed. I mean, when farmers are stuck waiting instead of working, those localized bottlenecks at the pumps actively paralyze the broader national supply chain.
Right. And, I can understand rationing for personal vehicles, but if the supply chain is freezing, shouldn't heavy industry be prioritized?
The math simply doesn't support it right now. Take the construction sector in Trang. A single site might require over 1,000 liters of fuel daily just to operate its heavy machinery.
And they're only getting a fraction of that now.
Right, so the machinery stops and construction halts entirely. And it's the same down in Songkla. Commercial fishing boats are permanently docked. The shortage drove fuel prices over 40 baht per liter.
Oh, man, 40 baht.
Yeah, which completely erodes the razor-thin profit margins those boats operate on. They literally cannot afford to run the engines.
But, if fishing fleets are docked and construction stops, you'd think that would at least free up fuel for essential agricultural transport. Looking at the reports, though, even the food network is breaking down.
Yeah, it's entirely systemic.
It is. Like, there's a major temple network in Nonthaburi literally watching its agricultural harvest rot. Their transport trucks can make the trip down from their rural branches, but they cannot find enough fuel to make the return trip. They're stranded.
Wow. And that lack of return fuel creates a very real biological clock. The crops exist, but the logistical bridge to get them to the people has completely collapsed.
So if systemic economic failure hits the food supply that fast, what happens when this trickles down to individual survival? I mean, we're pivoting from rotting produce to actual human panic.
Yeah, you start seeing profound vulnerability driving hoarding behaviors. In Satan, there's a report of a woman with a chronic health condition who is absolutely terrified.
Because her tank is empty.
Exactly. Her biggest fear isn't the daily price of gas. It's that if she has a sudden medical emergency, she physically cannot reach the hospital. The supply chain crisis becomes a deeply psychological one.
And under the intersection of that psychological pressure and sheer physical exhaustion, people just snap. There is a really stark example in the sources of a stranded motorcyclist in Kankin.
Oh, I read about this one. It's intense.
It really is. He ran out of gas in near 40-degree heat. The overwhelming stress of the empty tank, compounded by the brutal physiological strain of the environment, well, it caused a complete mental break. He ran completely naked into the gas station.
It just really highlights how quickly the veneer of normalcy strips away when infrastructure fails. Fuel isn't just a commodity that makes our engines roar.
No, definitely not.
It is the physical, invisible thread holding together our food supply, our construction sectors, and honestly, our basic sanity.
Which leaves you with a pretty uncomfortable question to mull over today. If a temporary fuel hiccup can cause food to rot in the fields and trigger public panic, just how fragile is your own community's just-in-time supply chain against a more permanent disruption?